What's up, dudes? My Kid here coming to you again. How's everybody doing out there? And I thought that it'll be nice for me to, instead of talk over an image of, you know, I should do it face to face, guys to get to see. And of course, I'm here to give my thoughts on episode 11 and 12, the 1 hour season finale of Legend of Korra. Um, So yeah, I'm here to give my thoughts on that, and talk a little bit more about it, as well as honestly, guys, some disappointments of really one character in particular. Okay, so overall, Legend of Korra was a good series. The first season, it was there. It had me locked from the first episode, and I really enjoyed the trials and tribulations of Korra. As a character, her trying to fill this void of that Aang pretty much left for her as the new Avatar. So I really enjoyed that. Now, as for the episode period, the first episode, which was called Skeletons in the Closet, that was somewhat good in a way because it kind of gave us a little sense of, okay, who is Amon? Why is he doing this? And who he really is. And we got to really see that in this episode. Korra and Mako actually infiltrated the Equalists. They were going to strike Amon first before he attacked them, and we saw that. We saw them actually meet uh, Councilman Tarlock again, and he finally broke the silence of who Amon is, um, which was interesting, but kind of like, man, like, really, you're doing this now? Like, it would have been really good if you had kept it a mystery in a way. I was a little kind of like, but we find out that he was from the Water Tribe, um, and Tarlac is his brother. His father, their father, taught them how to waterbend and, of course, bloodbend for some reason. So pretty much it came down to basically it was like the sins of the father. The sins of the father are what made them who they are. Even though Tarlock tried to get out of that, he didn't like bloodbending because even when I was watching him do it, I was like, oh come on, like you're just seeing him bloodbend animals, and I'm like, man, why are you doing that? Like oh, let him go. Like you literally, like he was bloodbending like I guess these wolves, these pack of wolves, and to me it's just like, oh come on, like you just see the wolves like crying in pain, like it was really sad. And when he came up, Amon, or dang, I'm forgetting his name, what was his name again? I forgot it right now. I can't believe I forgot his name. He just did it no problem. And then their father, who was voiced by who was voiced by Clancy Brown, actually is like really hard on them, and he's doing, that's not the way you do it. Do it just, and I was like, oh. So I knew it was gonna come down to like sins of the father. So it was already advocated out that basically, Amon was telling a lie. He's the biggest hypocrite ever, and that right there kind of threw me off, and I didn't like that. You know, it really didn't. I didn't like that. Just hearing that stuff, like, okay, but then Endgame comes, the next episode, episode 12, and we see basically, Korra basically try to announce to the Equalists and all those that Amon's a fake. He's a liar. He's actually this. He's a bender himself. So I'm thinking. At first, I thought that maybe Tarlac was saying all that just to protect his brother, or something like that, or it was a fake. He's never. It's not real. But even when Mon took off his mask and he showed the scars, like this is what a firebender did to me, and I'm like, okay, he may be telling the different. He may be wrong about this, but you know, and then Mon comes after them, and And then we find out that Amon actually got, Tenzin and his family. And I'm like, oh no. Like, then I'm thinking, oh, there's something bad's gonna happen. Then I was thinking that maybe there was somebody betrayed them. Um, the fight between Asami and her father was really interesting as well. Them in the big mech suits fighting, and um, basically, and she's all like, yeah, you're a bad father, and things like that. You are a bad father. It was, he's blaming, what happened to his wife on, the benders and everything like that, and it just that was cool. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that at all. Like, okay, there has to be. Sorry about the noise. Turn up. There has to be some basis of some basis of what that was. I apologize for that noise, people. Smoke alarm. Um. Uh. But bottom line, that was all right. And then when Amon and them were fighting, Korra and Amon were fighting, and you know, it and then when he took her bending away, I was like, oh man, y'all. I was like, oh, that's too. Y'all doing that already? Like, you're taking her bending away, and then I was thinking, okay, so now this is gonna be some kind of trial and tribulation, especially for the second season. Um, and then he came after. He went after Mako. Yeah, yeah, Mako. And Mako, and then he basically was gonna do the move, and that's when all of a sudden Korra airbend, and I liked it, but then I was like, okay, so it took something devastating for her to learn how to airbend, and not like she really didn't learn it. It just came out of nowhere, and she did the famous airbend punch that we seen Aang do a lot, and I was like, okay, and then Mon fell out the window, and then when he's in the water, his subordinates are watching, and all of a sudden the scar that we thought was across his face is actually it starts to wash off, and he comes out of the water, no problem, water bending, and everybody sees it, and I'm like, oh, there you go, he's found out. I'm like, okay, so that still could mean something good for him. Now they know that he's a liar. But then I'm thinking he's gonna come at them. He's gonna come at Korra out of anger and like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you now. Ah, and no. And then I was talking to my brother, sorry. And then all of a sudden he just torpedoes away like a dolphin. And I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, come on, really? Like, you came off. Yeah, it's almost like, yeah, what is this shit? Like, it's like you came off the Doctor Doom of the series. You acted so much like Doctor Doom. Brains, brawn, and everything. I saw Doctor Doom in Amon, and then you looked like with your punk ass. Just like, just and I was like, oh, a little letdown. You had a good rise, but then you had a bad fall. It was just, I didn't like that. I was a little disappointed. And then going, he goes gets Tarlock, and he's like, "Come, brother, let's leave, and let's start all over again." And you know, and I'm like, okay, like really, the series was good. It bothered me. What bothered me was Amon. That's what, because my friend Ziploc Gory actually put up on his Facebook page a picture of Amon, and he's like, and it says some things at the bottom like a bad, like it was, and I even said, yeah, I was a little disappointed in his character. I really thought they would have kept him as a series villain and not a arc villain. I don't mind arc villains. I don't mind them at all. But he should have been meant as a series villain. He came off just so badass, and then You find out about his story, and then and then all of a sudden when he's driving away, on a boat, Tarlock explodes them and they kill each other. I'm like, okay, so yeah, word was right. He was just gonna be an arc villain. Um, I remember the fight. We're seeing I believe Zuko's grandson actually jumping from plane to plane. I thought that was really cool. The biplanes was at when they were his uh his boat, his patrol, when they first were trying to arrive in Republican City. It reminded me so much of Pearl Harbor. I was like, this looks like Pearl Harbor, you know. And then we go back to you know, the village in the South Pole, and then Korra's really upset. She can't, Katara can't get her or other bending back, and she's really upset about it. And I'm like, okay, so now this must mean basically the series now is going to be based on her regaining the bendings that she lost, and that kind of bothered me in a way because I was like, okay, so now you're going backwards now. If she's already the Avatar, so now you're going backwards, and she needs to find a firebender master and an earthbender master, and all of a sudden, she just runs away. What I was really glad to see that Asami didn't betray Mako and the gang. I thought she was going to do that, despite the fact that uh, Mako did uh, showcase his love for Korra. Like he actually told her, "I love you" and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, but she ran off and was like, I can't do this. And then all of a sudden, she's talking to Aang. Aang comes, and then you see all the other avatars, former avatars behind him, basically saying that it's almost like she finally awoken, the avatar state, the power within, and he she was able to see, and then all of a sudden she just started bending, no problem. She was master of all the bendings, and then she came back. Mako chased after her and came back, and she said it to him, and she gave back Bolin her bending. She was able to earthbend again, and I was like, yeah, that's what's up. I thought it was good. Overall, it was good, guys. Not saying it was bad, but I did not like the deliverance of Amon, the end of Amon. I didn't like that. I thought they really could have went some more with the character of him and not just give us, him as an arc villain and you know, it should have been bits and pieces of his story, not like a full bam hit. Here guys, bam, here's your story of Mon. This is why he acts this way and things like that. Because overall, then he basically, now you look at him, he's basically a big fat hypocrite. Like he's just really bad over there. But yeah, there is going to be a second season, and I'm wondering where they're going to go with this. They say it's going to be 14 episodes for book 2, and I guess you'll have another we'll have another arc villain, not a overall villain. Even when you look at when like if like how my bro he compared Azula to Amon, and you can clearly see the better of Azula than Amon now. See how Zula, she was throughout pretty much the last couple of seasons, but they still had her as a major threat. And just when it looked like her fall would come, she still stayed there. Like, I'm still here. Amon had his rise, and in a swoop, his fall. And I was a little disappointed in that. But like I said, guys, overall, it was a good. I enjoyed the first season. I really did. But you guys tell me what you thought of the first overall season, of Legend of Korra. As you guys know, I would love to see your input. But other than that, this is Mount Vernon Kid. Y'all take care.